Okay, guys, we're ready.
Hello? Is that good? Awesome. Alright, so I did my senior project on the environmental impact of motorcycles versus cars. Now, recently in the past few years, there's been a huge movement, like globally, to become more environmentally conscious and try to reduce your carbon footprint. And some ways people have done this is by converting to motorcycles and electric vehicles. And now, to really compare the two, you need to know the difference between a motorcycle engine and a car engine. A lot of older motorcycles were two-stroke engines, such as this. They produce twice as much power as a four-stroke engine, because a four-stroke engine does everything this does at separate times. Like at this point, when it combusts, as it goes back, the exhaust gases escape as the fuel comes in, like a little bit before. You find most of these engines on like dirt bikes, smaller ATVs, lawnmowers, really small motor things. Whereas a four-cylinder, it does it all in 4 sessions. Like in this session, fuel comes in, it combusts, goes back down, and then the exhaust gases escape. This is much more environmentally friendly because you're not mixing gas and oil together as you are with a two-stroke engine. These are found in most modern motorcycles, and it's your standard car engine. Now on the two, there's 2 different fuel intake systems. One's a carburetor and one's electronic fuel injection. A carb is used on two-stroke engines, and it's very simple, very basic, nice and compact. It does what it needs to do, but it's not 100% efficient. Whereas on electronic fuel injection, there's a bunch of sensors that measure how much gas the engine's going to need to push, and that's how much it injects straight into the cylinder. Now, the only real test that have ever been done to compare the impacts of both is the one done by Mythbusters, and they took a series of 3 motorcycles and a series of 3 cars from 3 decades, the 80s, 90s, and the 2000s. And the experiment was done in 2011, and so I chose like their 2 newest things to compare. Now, they claimed that they chose 3 of the most popular motorcycles from each decade, but they ended up choosing all Hondas, where Hondas are only 20% of all motorcycles on the road, whereas Harleys are 60%. They also chose 3 CBRs, which are racing edition Hondas, and they put it against a 2007 Ford Taurus, which is a family sedan. I really don't believe it's a fair comparison, because you have a race bike versus something that's made to drive your kids to school in the morning. It's not really a fair comparison, but the results were that motorcycle, like non-surprisingly, used 28% less fuel, 30% less carbon dioxide, but it produced a lot more hydrocarbons, oxides of nitrogen, and carbon monoxide. Now, looking at this right off the bat, most people say, wow, that is terrible. Look at how much it pollutes the environment. And I don't want one of these. But what they don't see is that carbon dioxide makes up 82% of all the pollutants in our air. So reducing that is of the utmost importance. And as you can see, electricity and transportation together are 68% of that. And now, the electric cars, most people think that's really helping, but it's actually a lot worse, because 40% of your power grid, which you plug in every night to charge it, comes from coal power plants, which just throws carbon dioxide into the air daily. Now, this is a new Yamaha. This is their FZ09. It's a 3-cylinder, 4-stroke engine. It has fuel injection with what they call YCCT, which monitors your intake manifold, your oil, and your gas intake. And from that, it calculates the best possible mixture of all 3 to get the most performance out of your engine without wasting any fuel, without combusting anything non-necessary. It also has a catalytic converter. Catalytic converters and smog controls are still just now becoming the standard on most motorcycles, whereas cars, it's been the standard for years, for decades. It gets 44 mpg, which isn't too shocking, but because of all the environmental protection stuff that it has in place, it really reduces your fuel economy to a point. Now let's look at the Prius. It's a 4-cylinder electric hybrid. It does have fuel injection, it does have a catalytic converter, and it only gets 48 mpg equivalent. That's shocking, because whenever you think of saving the world, you think of buying a Prius, buying like a Leaf, buying some hybrid vehicle. Whereas this actually, over the life cycle of the car, it's been proven that it's worse than a motorcycle because the batteries in those things only last around 10 years. Now, batteries for those are very, very harmful to the environment. They're harmful to make, they're harmful to dispose of. It's just not really good for the environment overall. Now, what I wanted to do, because I didn't understand a lot about motorcycles before this, was I got myself a 1982 or 1983 Yamaha DT80, which is an enduro motorcycle. So it can go on-road and off-road. Now, mine was given to me by a family friend, and so what I wanted to do was take it all apart and figure out how everything worked inside, so I could have a nice understanding of, how the two-stroke engine works. It is a two-stroke, it is only 80 cc's, but it can move. It has 5 years. I think it's pretty nice. So what I did is I took it all apart. I sandblasted everything that needed to be sandblasted. Where you can see that's the tank before, and that's the other side, like halfway through sandblasting. And as you can see, it's in much better condition than before. I also removed the exhaust, the oil pan, carburetor. I cleaned that all out. That's actually disassembled carb right over there. I cleaned it all out, and that's actually a carb where the fuel goes in. And so that really needs to be cleaned in order for it to run at optimal performance. This bike is basically straight pipe. It's not very good for the environment. Like, it comes off the heads, and there's no real filters, no cat converter. It's pretty much just a pipe straight out the back. And that's what two-strokes are notorious for. Like, when you're running them, you have a cloud of smoke behind you at all times, which is why the movement from 2 to 4-stroke is really, really good. They also are just now coming out with 2-stroke fuel-injected engines, which is Honda's new thing. They're expected to come out next year, and that's going to eliminate most of the smoke because now you're injecting fuel rather than just pouring it in through a car. This is what it looked like at the end. That one in the bottom corner is not my bike. That's just a comparison of what it really should look like. And it's not museum quality, I understand that. I had a lot of fun doing it. I do think it is in a lot better shape than it was before. But it definitely is not in the shape of that bike down in the bottom corner over there. Now, for the future, I do believe that at some point motorcycles are going to overtake cars as a primary mode of transportation as we start realizing that global warming is a serious problem and it's getting worse every single day. Like electric cars, hydrogen, everything, they were a good idea, they were a good start, but those batteries really do kill the environment a lot more than they're helping to save it. So motorcycles, I really do believe, are becoming the next new green mode of transportation. That's about it. Those are all my sources for my presentation. Thank you very much.